You're listening to the audio production of The Theft of America's Soul, blowing the lid off the lies that are destroying our country. Written by Phil Robertson, published by Thomas Nelson, and read by the author.
Introduction. In April 1966, Time raised a ruckus when it printed this question in red block letters against a black background on its cover: Is God dead? It was a shocking cover posing a shocking question, and that question took root in the public dialogue of the day. Scientists, preachers, insurance agents, housewives, everyone from New York to California was drawn into the discussion. Even us river rats down in northern Louisiana. But if the cover was provocative, the story inside the magazine was even more provocative. Is God dead? The article opened. It is a question that tantalizes both believers who perhaps secretly fear that he is, and atheists who possibly suspect that the answer is no. The writer added that modern churchmen were trying to reconcile God's supposed death with their brand of Christianity. A small band of radical theologians, he wrote, has seriously argued that the chorus must accept the fact of God's death and get along without him. These theologians believed it was time for the church to figure out a way to write a theology without theos, without God. Huh? The disappearance of God in art, politics, and economics led to the death of God, some claimed in the article. Modern science had undermined or explained the mysteries of God in the natural world, others said. And in the wake of God's supposed death, many believers in the modern church turned to other things in search of meaning. Psychiatry, Zen, and drugs were the new source of meaning for so many. Others had quietly abandoned all but token allegiance to the churches, surrendering themselves to a life of anonymous Christianity, dedicated to civil rights or the Peace Corps. Anonymous Christianity. What in the world? This Time article explored the very things I'd hear on my college campus at Louisiana Tech University later that year. My professors hung their hats on Nietzsche, Darwin, and Freud. Man's ancestors crawled out of the saltwater, they said. Man's notions of right and wrong were taught, handed down. Morality was a set of fabricated human constructs, they said. Morality was relative. Sexuality was relative. Nothing was absolute. God, the old white-bearded judge in the sky, was a myth. What's more, professor after professor implied that if man could liberate himself from this archaic myth, he'd find true freedom. Man could be his own judge. Man could be his own master. Man could be the arbiter of his own freedom. Man could be the center of his own existence. Today, many point to that Time article as the first time the elephant in the room, the question of whether God was still hanging around, was addressed in the broader market. Some of those same folks point to that article as the culmination of 1960s enlightenment. I know the truth about the 60s because I lived them. The truth is, the 60s were anything but enlightened. They were very dark. In the 60s, a deep sleep-ism settled over our country. Atheism, agnosticism, humanism, moral relativism, naturalism, personalism, rationalism, materialism, all the isms washed over us. These isms led America deeper into sexual immorality, greed, and the wholesale slaughter of the unborn. The isms led us into debauchery. I know this because, to my embarrassment, these isms washed over me. For a time, they led me down the same road of sin, a road I'll read more about later in this book.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?